of all, I would like to introduce you to Sir Roger Gale, and he's been an MP now for the last 38 years.
Is that where I start talking? That's where I start talking. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. And a particular thank you to Rick for sticking his head above the parapet, because the situation that Rick and sadly Reggie faced is one that's faced by far too many families, and it usually is families and their pets far too often. When I got the original message from Rick, it said, with great candor, we wanted a dog. We went to a reputable website. We bought one. We weren't allowed to see the dam, the mother of the puppies, for reasons connected with COVID. And then, of course, within a couple of days, parvovirus was detected. Reggie was put to sleep, which is tragic for Rick and his family. The only quarrel I'd take with any of that is that Rick referred to a reputable website. I may be wrong, but I don't believe there is such a thing as a reputable website that sells livestock. And that's really what this campaign is all about, is to bring an end to the online trade in sentient beings being dogs. I wish that Rick's case was unique, but of course it isn't. My eldest son is a veterinary surgeon in practice in Nottinghamshire. He's been a vet now for the best part of 20 years. And time and again, people take into his small animal practice dogs that have been bought via the website, mothers unseen and diseased. And the puppy that was perhaps a wonderful birthday present for a little girl or boy suddenly turns into a family tragedy because that little animal has to be put to sleep, because there is no cure for the deformities, they're inbred, and for the diseases that they carry. And by the way, this isn't just about puppy farming, we'll come on to that in a moment, but of course it's also part and parcel of the puppy smuggling business, which is big organized crime. Literally hundreds of animals come into the country. The ones that you've heard about, Rick's came from Northern Ireland, but very many come from mainland Europe and are smuggled in through the port of Dover. Some of them are intercepted, many aren't. And again, many of those animals are overbred, inbred. Labradors, for example, the puppy that Rick bought, are not only subject to parvovirus, but also things like hip dysplasia. And if animals are not bred well, and if they're not bought from a reputable source, then the chances are that they will have inbred deformities, even if they don't have a killer disease from the outset. So we have to be very careful indeed. And I've been fortunate enough to have, I can't remember, shamefully, probably 8 or 9 dogs in the course of Susie, my wife is Susie and my lifetime of animal keeping. Most of them initially were Labradors. Then we moved on to Newfoundlands because we wanted something a bit smaller. And we lost our last Newfie a month ago. But we've also got Bonnie. I can't show you her because she's sloped off. At least I can, but she's lying in the dark and you won't see her. Bonnie, we think when we got her, was probably 7 years old. Bonnie was one of 4, we thought, Newfoundlands left in a field in Lincolnshire, just abandoned. They were picked up by the RSPCA, and because we support Newfoundland Rescue, we got involved as well. And Newfie Rescue arranged with the RSPCA for us to have one of the dogs, in this case a bitch actually, but she was Bonnie. When we got her, she was skin and bone. She had scabs all over her body. She was absolutely terrified. She spent the first 3 months in our house, hiding in a corner. She was not house trained. Her feet were rotten because she'd been paddling in her own urine. The only thing that she would do is eat. She was terrified of men, particularly, but basically anybody. And it took Susie 6 months sleeping on the sofa alongside her to begin to build up trust. Well, now, 2 years on, she's lovely. She's still very nervous. She's still timid. She goes out, she walks, she enjoys life, and she knows she's loved. The reason I mentioned Bonnie is not to say how wonderful we are, but because before we got Bonnie, she'd been used for puppy farming. When we had her examined, it was absolutely obvious that she had had litter after litter after litter, and that bitch was kept in either a cage or a shed, not seeing the light of day, just producing the puppies that the reputable online dealers then sell mothers unseen. That's what we're dealing with. That is the enormity of the problem that we're dealing with. So what to do about it? My view personally is that we have to end the trade in sentient animals online, pure and simple. I believe that the only people that should be allowed to sell live animals, dogs, and indeed cats actually, is reputable breeders, where you have the opportunity to see the pedigree, if there is one, to see the mother, to see them together, to make sure that they're bonding, that there's not just a switch in mother for yet another batch of puppies wheeled in to be sold from Ireland or elsewhere. And that there is no business online for a trade in animals, and particularly a trade in dogs and cats. There are websites that are rehoming websites, like Cat Chat, that does a splendid job of rehoming unwanted cats, usually animals that have been left because their owners have died. That's fine, we have no problem with that. But that is not a marketplace. They're not selling them, they're rehoming them, and there's a fundamental difference there. The Queen's speech, which will be with us a week yesterday, we expect will have 4 or up to 4 animal welfare bills in it. It's not clear what they're going to contain. So our next move is to see what the long titles, as they're called, of those bills are. The long title tells you what the bill is supposed to be about. And so long as what you want to put into it fits within the long title, you can amend the bill to squeeze it in. If it doesn't fit, you can't do it. So we need to look at the long titles very carefully indeed, see what legislation is coming forward, and see if there's a vehicle that we can tag something onto. That's one way forward. Another way forward, although this is much harder, is to enter the ballot first of all and win it, which is a lottery literally, for a private members bill, and then to bring forward private members legislation. Because this will be contentious, there is a very real prospect that it won't succeed that way. What we really want is a piece of government legislation to get onto the statute book to say, we're not going to put up with this any longer. We are going to kill this trade at source. And I think if we can do that, then we will be doing huge numbers of desperately disappointed purchasers. And the animals that they purchase a huge favor And we'll also be doing the memory of Reggie, the justice that I think that he deserves. And I'm open to take any questions. Thank you.
It's back on you.
Thank you very much for that. That was absolutely amazing. Next, we have Linda from Wood Green Animal Charity. She has worked in the rescue for 20 years now.
Do you want me to talk now, or I think there's a couple of questions come through, and I know Roger's got to go. Did you want to do those questions first? Sorry.
Oh, I've only seen one question in the chat box, which I will take head on, because this should not be really, I mean, yes, you can argue that police are under-resourced. Police are always under-resourced, always have been and always will be, because the crime will always amount to more than, I mean, in Kent, we're very lucky. We've got an extremely good police and crime commissioner who's done a cracking job and has actually increased the number of policemen on the beat. But that said, there is still an enormous problem to deal with, and this isn't necessarily the top of their agenda. But this should not be about police work. This is about how we regulate the sale and purchase of live animals. And that we can do without police enforcement. Because if it is illegal to sell animals online, then the courts can become fairly swiftly involved without an enormous amount of investigative police work. And if we get this right, and it's important that we get the legislation right when we do it, but if we get this right, then I think we can make a significant difference. And to answer the question that hasn't actually been asked yet, at least I don't think it has, of course, people will say, yes, but you know, not everybody can afford the price of a pedigree dog or cat. That is true. But there are, and you're going to hear from one of them in just a moment, Wood Green is an example, excellent animal rescue centres. I happen to know Wood Green very well indeed from my days as chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Animal Welfare Group. We had a very strong working relationship. And rescue centres like that, and obviously the Battersea Dogs and Cats Home and the Dogs Trust, and the RSPCA and others, all have a continuous flow, even now, of animals that need good homes. So you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money to buy a pedigreed dog. If you want a friend, if you want a four-legged friend, then you can go to the rescue centre, whichever your chosen one or closest one is. Be vetted, which is important. People ask, they ask searching questions. They want to know that you're fit. We were asked when we got Bonnie, we were asked, you know, are you actually a fit person to have this dog? And it was absolutely right that they asked the question. I didn't take offense. I thought, yeah, I'm delighted that you're asking. And where's she going to live? And how's she going to be looked after before they let us have her? And that's absolutely right. But you can go down that road. So if you're a member of the public watching and you want a furry four-legged friend, dog or cat, I can't guarantee you a rescue armadillo, but if you want a dog or a cat, then go to the rescue centre and talk to them, and they'll find you. Actually, they won't find you. Somebody will find you. And that's the way it works, because you go in looking for something, and then the animal that you wanted finds you.
Linda, it's on to you now.
Hello. So I'm going to try and share my screen, hopefully relatively successfully. Is that working? Fabulous. Okay. So my name's Linda Cantel. I work for Wood Green, the Animals Charity. We have a rehoming centre based in Cambridgeshire. We rehome dogs, cats and small animals through our centre there, and we cover sort of the local region, and we offer services and support nationally as well. So just to give you an idea of kind of who we are and what we're trying to achieve, I guess, to try and give you an idea of where we're from. One of the most important things to us is that if pets or pet owners need our help, we are there for them. And regardless of what that is, if people are in a position where they're having a problem with their pet, but they want to keep them, that we can offer services to be able to help them. We can give free behaviour advice. We can offer financial support. So there are lots of situations actually where we, as opposed to some other organisations, actually try and work with an owner to try and keep pet and owner together, where it's in the interest of the pet to do that. And equally, if somebody comes to us and actually they're at that point where they find themselves unable to meet the needs of the pet, then we're here for them. And we don't discriminate on the pets that we take in. We take them in essentially on a first come first served basis, as long as we've got the resources. Sometimes people might have to wait to bring them in to make sure that we've got the right space for them, but we work really hard never to turn anyone away, and at the very least to signpost them to other areas where they can get help. The services that we offer, you know, everything that we do, we continue to learn every single day. And whilst we do lots of courses and lots of education and that kind of thing, our best educators are the pets that we work with every single day, be that in the centre or in their homes as well. And one of our really key messages as well, which is really relevant today, is about championing and increasing responsible pet acquisition, ownership and relinquishment. So supporting people through the process of getting a pet, to try and enable them to pick a pet that's got the best chance to stay with them for a long time. Throughout that ownership journey as well, providing that support to try and keep that pet and owner together wherever we can. So supporting them to find accommodation that will accept pets, supporting them with financial difficulties if insurance runs out, that kind of thing, and providing them with behaviour support and training to keep the pet in the home. And if the worst comes to the worst and they aren't able to keep their pet anymore, we're here to support them and to try and do that as responsibly as possible. So we, in terms of rehoming, we help overall around 8,000 pets a year, and that's about half of those are pets that come into our care for rehoming. And again, that's dogs, cats, small animals, chickens, and we've got a couple of goats and sheep as well. And then we help around the same number, so about 4,500 through our services to keep pets in homes as well. What we've seen increasingly over the last, probably the last 2 to 3 years, and it's escalated and magnified over the last 12 months, is those pets that people want to pass on are more behaviourally challenged and have far more significant veterinary problems than previously. Whereas historically rescue might have been the first and only choice for relinquishment, actually a lot of people now want to recoup the money that they've spent on their dog. And we're finding, particularly with dogs, but also with cats, that animals are passing hands numerous times before they're coming into rescue. And throughout that time, perhaps their behaviour is deteriorating, people haven't been able to keep up with veterinary treatment and that kind of thing. So those that come to us right now actually require much more significant veterinary and behavioural interventions as well. So they are staying in our care for longer. We're fortunate that we've got lots of great foster homes, so where we can and where it's appropriate, those animals will go into homes with our really experienced foster carers and get the treatment that they need. So they're in a nice comfy living room rather than staying in the kennel for a long time as well. And we're here for the owners, as I've said, lots of advice, support, training for pet owners. We're here to help, and we just want people to ask questions, really. So just the way that we use our knowledge and expertise. So obviously we champion what we refer to, and I'm sorry it's a bit jargony, responsible relinquishment. But if you are at a position where you need to part with your pet, we really encourage people to talk to a rescue organisation. first to see, because we are in a position where we can actually, obviously we can provide all the veterinary and behaviour treatment, and we are in a position where we can check new homes that they're going through to, and give them the best second chance, I suppose, of staying in a home longer term as well. So where it's in the interest of the pet, then we can certainly support people through that route as well. We also offer neuter vouchers, as I said, financial support for veterinary issues. We can do microchipping. We support a lot of pet food banks and do give an awful lot of, we've got a free behaviour helpline as well, that's available to people as well. And equally, and it's not very pleasant to talk about, but when pets are at the end of their life, we will support people towards euthanasia in the best possible way for that pet, so that they don't have to suffer. So we talked about how many pets that we've cared for and rehomed, so I won't go over that. The reason, I suppose, why we really think it's important to support Justice for Reggie, for us, as I've said, we're seeing more animals. Sadly, as Roger Gale described, Bonnie, we do see numerous pets come into our care that have suffered, usually having passed through many hands, and only at the point at which there isn't any financial value do the people think to contact rescue. And for us, we really want people to come to rescue first, not last. And that can be not only if you want to relinquish your pet, if you're starting to have problems, we can help right at that root cause, and we can really prevent the breakdown of those relationships, or provide support for veterinary care so that people can keep their pets in homes and they don't have to suffer. So surrender, don't sell. As soon as I heard that and saw that, I really, at Wood Green, we really have seen this escalate over the last year. Fewer and fewer people are contacting us to help with parting with their pets. And whilst that should be a good thing for rescue, sadly, it doesn't seem to be the way, because those coming to us really have suffered either mentally or medically, and that's really sad and really quite distressing to see. Also makes it really hard for us, because what we've seen in parallel to that is huge demand for pets. So we at Wood Green, for example, we had 72,000 applications for pets last year. And as I've shown you, we normally rehome in the region of 4,000. Last year, we were only able to rehome 2,100 due to the pandemic. So not only are we dealing with very challenged pets that need a lot of support, but equally lots of frustrated people that want to get pets from us, trying to do the right thing. But we just don't have the resources to deal with and respond to every inquiry. So we've got lots of upset people that we really don't want to upset. We're not judging people. I'm sure there are some amazing homes within that, but our resources have to be spent really caring for the animals that we have in, and supporting those pets in homes. So it's been a really challenging 12 months for us, and I think there's a fairly similar message across the rescue sector. But absolutely, our call is just please come to rescue first and not last. You can ask any question about a pet, nothing is stupid, and we can we can absolutely help. And if you're in a position to keep that pet, we can provide that support as well. So we've got a free help and advice line. So I've just put our phone number on here, and our email address as well. There's lots of information on our website, and you'll see some elements of our rehoming process and some elements of it on the Doghouse on Channel 4, where it shows some of the process that people and pets go through in our care as well. So thank you ever so much. And yeah, absolutely, if you're listening and you have a challenge with your pet, please do contact us, because we're here to help, and absolutely talk to people about getting help and advice. Lots of advice available to guide you through the process of acquiring a pet as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Linda. That was amazing. But also with the Surrender Don't Sell, we were saying that it doesn't make you any less of a person. You're doing such a great thing to be able to know that you need that help. So that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Next, we have Lee. He is the MB for Pets for Homes. So I'll pass you on to him.
Thanks, Emily. Can you see my screen? It says worryingly. You can see the presentation, okay? Yeah, good. Thanks. So I'm Lee. I'm the UK MD for Pets for Homes, and listening in already, it's very clear that I'm the outlier amongst this group. And that's fine. I think we're pleased to be here to support Rick and Alicia and Justice for Reggie. I think actually when you look at it, we're actually both trying to do exactly the same thing. We're trying to make a better place for, in terms of our website, trying to make a better place for animals and also for the humans that go there. Okay, so the fundamentals of what we're both trying to achieve are actually pretty much the same. So I'm just going to give you, I'm conscious of time, got quite a few slides, give you a quick whistle stop through the journey that we're on. I'm sure some of it will be familiar to some of you, but some of it might be also new, and a little glimpse about what's coming down the track for us in the future. So I think what Linda said really resonated with me, in that there is such a demand at the moment in the UK for animals. And I think you can see that when I just showcase our main sort of numbers here. At any one given time, we've got 40,000 people who are selling a pet of some sort on the site. It's up to 7 million people a month are coming to the website looking for a pet. And give or take, roughly about 1.2 million pets overall are sold through the site. They're not sold on the site. I want to be really clear about that from some of the comments that were made earlier. This website is a place where buyers and sellers interact, and then all the advice is very much that you need to go and see the pet, you need to see it interacting with its mother, etc. We'll come on to that in a minute, but it doesn't happen on the site. So Pets for Homes itself has been going for 16 years, and very clear at the top, there is a legacy that comes with this site, both good and bad. Okay, and I'll give you a quick sort of whistle-top tour. So 2005, 2019 was a founder couple who looked after the site. They had no full-time employees. They did a great job for what they were trying to achieve, but realistically, it got too big for them. Grew over that time that literally 1 in 3 puppies in the UK are rehomed through the site. So right at the tail end of 2019, it was acquired by the business I work for, which is Pet Media Group. And as we all know, ourselves personally, and Linda's just raised around the challenges Wood Green have had, 2020, just huge amount of challenges over the year. And this graph shows you users coming to the site, just to try and fundamentally show you the desire of people to want to have a pet over this period. Yeah, so the growth of 13 years, we achieved that same amount of growth in 8 years of users coming to the site. Okay, users coming to the site actually it's just a metric to show you the popularity of people wanting animals. What we found is that although actually when we took over the site, the idea was we wanted to relaunch the site completely. And what we found is over 2020 with COVID, we had to basically put our resources more towards updating the technology that's on the site as it is at the moment, and challenging the issues around fraud and animal rights issues, and also the ill-informed sort of customer buying practices that have therefore happened. Okay, so as it is, our new site is due to launch actually in about a week or two. So it's taken about 7 months or so overdue. So let me talk you through some of those things we've done over the year. None of it, I want to be clear, we know we're on I'm going to use that word, a journey. We've still got a lot of stuff still to do, and we know that there's some things that could have been done, better previously. Very quickly, technology is at the key to make the buying experience easier and better and safer. And some of the things we did very early on, things like UK phone verification. So if you're putting an advert on the site, you have to have a UK phone number. That means that there's no fraud from overseas, which historically is an issue across all websites, whether it be a pet marketplace or not. Significantly improved our on-site signposting. Okay, that really is around users. We can still do more, and I'll show you in a minute some of the stuff we're looking to do there. That's about best practice, you know, and I know the Justice for Reggie's guys have put together their own sort of top 10 tips, okay, which basically, you know, says a lot of what we already say on the site as it is. Cross-referencing of IPs and postcodes and phone numbers. This is to stop people who have been banned on the site to put a duplicate account up. It's not a perfect system, okay, but it's certainly a step towards helping clamp down on people who we don't want on site creating a duplicate account. And then lastly, actually, and this is probably the key, there was no full-time employees back in the end of 2019, and we now have actually over 40 working in the group, of which 10 are in our trust and safety team. Okay, so they're the guys who are basically manually looking at all the adverts that are posted, reviewing them, taking them down, speaking to the user, and deciding what we do at that point, and also dealing with the likes of Richard if he approaches us as well in that sense. So some other stuff that we did during the course of the year. This is something that we rushed through, and it's the first of its type. So it's a deposit system. Effectively, we've now have over 70% of sellers on the site have this enabled. Okay, and it means that we hold the money in escrow, so that basically we have you know, you give your £300 deposit, it comes to us until both parties are happy, and that money's then passed on. That requires, to be quite clear, the seller to give up their form of ID verification, which, you know, as I'm sure some of you are aware, the government's pet fish campaign, that's very clear as the main thing that we're trying to get to try and understand the person behind the pet. That's something that we've now made mandatory for all new puppy advertisers on the site. Okay, and we're looking to roll it out further as we move forward. Over the last year or so, and this is literally just a very small portion of the people we work with, but I wanted to just give you a flavour. We're really working to try and be a good stakeholder in the vertical. And you know, whether it be supporting petitions, of which we have done numerous, whether it be through our newsletters or on site, working with DEFRA, so backing their campaign, huge amount on our own site, or someone like the Scottish SPCA, who have got their own assured breeder scheme, which we are actively supporting and pushing out to any sellers in Scotland to sign up for their accredited breeder scheme, and then we're going to badge them on site. We are talk to PAG constantly, who are the guys who monitor our websites, okay, and we've got a meeting with them tomorrow, got another meeting with them next week, and we're often pushing them to ask for advice about different things that we think should be moving forward in this space. Those of you who don't know, PAG is made up of people like Linda's company, Wood Green and Battersea, etc., who monitor our sites. And then lastly, someone like the Animal Protection Services, who are very much, one of the things we've found is, unfortunately, local councils, the RSPCA, have been fairly, and I want to use the word toothless, in actually bringing prosecutions towards people who they feel are puppy farmers. We found the Animal Protection Services have actually done a really good job in this space. So this is something that's happened. Richard, you probably won't know this. This is something we've done in the last 2 or 3 months. So now if someone came, if you'd come through to us and said, we suspect that, you know, our puppy has been ill and died and has come from ex-breeder, rather than us saying to you for GDPR reasons that you'd have to go and contact the RSPCA or Animal Protection Services, we now have an online form that goes straight through to those guys. Okay, upwards of 56. If you go and look on their site, you'll see all of the prosecutions that Animal Protection Services have brought through, all around us basically helping people. We have a data partnership with them that enables us to be able to share that. And we've also listened a lot to our community, and this is hopefully just trying to give you an understanding of where we're coming from in terms of trying to make the best possible site. So without going into too much detail on here, docktails and cropped ears were allowed on site for a couple of different reasons, whether you had a vet certificate or could prove that it had been done legally abroad. We took a group-wide decision at the beginning of the year that we wouldn't allow that on site at all. Okay, so they're now banned from the site, and a lot of the working dog communities were up in arms with us about that. We actually were pushing that through. So hopefully that brings you a little bit up to date. You'll see how I've gone through to sort of 2021 and what's coming up, or where we've got to. There's more. I'm just trying to give you a flavour in the 10 minutes we've got. So what we've got coming up as we move forward, I'll try and give you the big thing is we've got a new site launch. And it does, there's three things here. It looks better, which is good for us. But the main thing is it has better technology that enables better trust and safety on the site, and enables us actually to build in more features into the site that's going to help with trust and safety, which without going into it on the old site with the architect wasn't possible for it to be able to be done. I'll just give you literally 3 or 4 things which are happening either at launch or a couple of months after that I think are things which often, actually, when we've spoken to Richard, these guys have brought up with us. They're often, many of them are on our pipeline. There's been some good suggestions on top of that as well. So one is really that we all know, or I think everyone on the call will know, that it's a requirement that for puppies that people put the mother picture on there, but it's not a requirement that we label it. Okay. So one of the things that we're doing as we move forward is it will be clearly labeled at add upload. This is where you put the mother with puppy picture. Okay, and then obviously that's very clear for you when you go through the pictures as you move forward. Okay. Secondly, there's a huge issue around microchips, and we haven't got time probably to go into it on this call. All right, but one of the things we're starting to do to try and start on that is firstly that when people upload an advert, it's clear how many puppies are in the litter, male or female, and then to share the microchip numbers at this point. Okay, as they upload that. Okay, this actually probably won't mean anything right now because there's still 20 databases, and no one in government seems to be able to actually figure out how to move the central micropace database forward. Okay, but it's a beginning. Okay, so that's starting on the new site, and then this isn't going to happen straight away. We recognise this is needed, and I know Richard and Alicia and the Justice for Reggie guys are often calling through to our user guys to talk about this. Effectively reverse image search. So this is going to stop people scraping sites, whether it be our site or Google, okay, and posting either a duplicate image or something from Google. All right, this is not happening in May. It's probably more likely to happen sort of July time, some sort of version 2, but it'll be a big step forward. Okay, this is all, we couldn't do this on our old platform. We will be able to do it on our new platform as we move forward. And then I think one of the key things we've talked about already is actually, unfortunately, this was from actually back in about November time of some about 19,000 respondents we did. One of the main issues that we have in this is public education around what good looks like when you're either going to look for a puppy or when you're going to a breeder. Okay, and you can see here the amount of time spent researching what pet breed you want to get. For less than 10% was less than a week, okay, to give you a view. I suspect that won't have moved on much in the last 2 or 3 months. So 2 last things just to show you a couple of things we're doing there. So Roger talked about actually the strict guidelines you have to go through when you go to a Wood Green or a Battersea, etc., in terms of the application process that you have to go through. So one of the things that we'll be doing right now, you have to register if you want to be a buyer on our site, but you're going to have to go through a stricter application process, okay, and that will effectively be like, do you currently have any pets, what type of house do you live in, what breeds they are, zip code, do you have kids, etc. Pretty much a lot of the stuff, the basic stuff that's asked of you when you go to a rescue center. But really it's more of a barrier though to a buyer coming to the site. Okay, they have to fill out this information, and at the same time, one of the things we're going to almost force users to do, and it's never going to be, this is never an easy thing, all right? So this is just we're always happy to hear other people's ideas or suggestions in this space, but this maybe doesn't show it that well. But in terms of our trust and safety checklist, so whether it be, how you avoid scams or puppies for sale, rather than it just being a one bottom at the bottom tick, it's going to be you have to tick everyone individually. Okay, now I'm not saying it's going to solve all the issues, but we certainly think that it moves us a little step forward in terms of eyes on the checklist, that public education piece. And then literally last slide, because I know I'm probably over time. This for us is the key, and this again will not come immediately with site launch, but will come after, in terms of understanding the person behind the pet. This is bringing in bank grade ID verification for sellers on site. This is not going to be launched for every single seller on site from day one. It will be a rollout process. Up and down, I'm going to look a bit silly when I'm doing it, up and down and do that. It takes different pictures of different types. of your face. You then scan your driver's license or your passport, and it matches that your driver's license is the same as the picture you've done, so you can't be a stolen identity. And then therefore we have a record of who you are and that it's you. Okay, and it's a real step forward. We know that if you are a deceitful seller, for want of a better word, you're not going to want to have to give up your ID and your verification at that point. Okay, that is it. There's a whistle-stop tour. Hopefully it's trying to show you that where we've been, what we've done in what we all know is a challenging year, and it's not been a perfect year for anyone, and some of the stuff we've got moving forward. I'll stop sharing. Back to you, Emily.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Lee. That was very, very insightful. You have done such an amazing job with everything that you're doing for Pets for Homes, getting the website to be amazing, and just working alongside with us. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Next, we have Liz Webster. She's a Liberal Democrat for Wiltshire. She's the Police and Crime Commissioner. Over to you, Liz.
Hi, good evening. Thanks so much for asking me to contribute to this. I'm actually a candidate. I'm not the Police and Crime Commissioner. The election's on Thursday. We get the results on Monday. Throughout the last few months, I've started campaigning on dog theft and, well, pet theft issues generally, mainly because I noticed so much of it was bubbling up around me locally. And I've had the pleasure of meeting up with other campaigns, and earlier, a couple of months ago, we ran an event called Dog Zoom, where we brought some people together to talk about pet theft and pet theft reform. We also managed to get a great video from Ricky Gervais and a couple of other celebrities, and got some good publicity. So I've been campaigning for some time because my son was attacked back in 2007, and it's brought me on this political journey to where I am today. We farm, and we have cattle, and we have 2 dogs, soon to be 3. We're going to be getting a puppy in the summer. I am an animal mad person, and it is shocking that here we are in Britain. We know that we're animal lovers, and it's just absolutely shocking to see the absolute calamity and catastrophe of where we are with this situation, where lots of different things that have happened have ensured that this whole car crash is colliding everywhere. And I think listening to Sir Roger, he's right. In many ways, it does rest with Parliament to sort this out. But because it's been left for so long, and to give you some idea of my frustration in this, I started investigating it. In 2007, Boris Johnson attended a residents' meeting in his constituency and promised to solve dog theft. Now, here we are today. He's got legislation going through Westminster right now, and it's protecting statues. There's nothing in there for our pets, and it's not just our pets, it's us as well, our families. That, you know, this thing that's going on under the radar. A lot of people are becoming more aware only because of people campaigning so hard on it. So I think the solutions rest with a lot more campaigning and a lot more hard campaigning. I think that this government in particular don't really want to have, they're not supporters of nanny states. And what we're asking for is to have a lot of more controls from the state to stop this happening, and through DEFRA and other bodies. So I do think there's going to be something that comes through, but I think it'll mean that we're in this for the long haul. And the reason for the campaigning as well is just to bring people more aware of what is going on, because really nobody wants to buy a dog that's come from, and we call them puppy farms, they're puppy factories, they're not farms. I farm here, we don't treat our animals like these dogs are treated. It's reprehensible. So we need to bring it to the fore. Now, in my campaign, I've come across a few different cases. The latest one was a little Chihuahua who was stolen from in a house burglary. And this is where I disagree with Sir Roger. The police themselves are not entirely educated about what is going on with these crimes, and it depends on the area where you live and the force that they're in. And these criminals are making tens of thousands of pounds from selling these puppies. You know, I heard of a case recently, £70,000, you know, that was seized from somebody selling Springer Spaniels for £12,000 a puppy. It's just incredibly shocking that this can be going on. And so the government and, you know, in the Home Office, the message needs to be taken more seriously. So the directives are put down to the police forces to actually do something about it. And I think, again, police officers, if they're dog people or cat people, they get this. If they don't have a pet, they think it's a superficial problem and they're too busy worrying about other things, which, yes, is fine. But as we've seen recently with this murder of the PCSO, there is a possibility, and there have been serious violent offences with attempted dog theft. So it's, whilst there's no, all of it is ensuring that criminals are getting away with it, and more needs to be done. So I applaud this campaign, Justice for Reggie, and everything that everybody's doing. But I also want to encourage people to do more. And we need to, as this animal welfare bill is coming through Parliament, we need to physically get up there with our pets, and we need to be campaigning hard and protesting to make sure that the depths of feelings are felt in Westminster, and we mustn't be fobbed off any longer. So I think I've warbled on for long enough, and thanks very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Liz. Lastly, we have got Christine. She works with the German Shepherd Rescue. So over to Christine.
I don't know whether you can hear me.
We can, Christine. Yeah, we can hear you fine though. We can see you as well.
Good. I had a good teacher this afternoon. Right, I'm from German Shepherd Dog Rescue #1, and joined Justice for Reggie as think that it's a great cause which will hopefully be able to gain enough support to change the laws regarding our four-legged faithful friends. As a rescue, we are very concerned about the number of dogs being sold online. Some only very young. Like us, they are born as a blank canvas and sadly failed by humans who may lack an understanding of what they need. People want to recoup their money, so they try to sell them through social media. Do they vet the people interested? Do they do a home check to make sure they are happy for the dogs to move there? Do they check whether the new owners are who they say they are? Do they get references or question their knowledge of the breed? Most of the time, the answer is no. They just want the dog gone. We are right behind the surrender, don't sell cause. Most of the time, people think of rescue as the final straw. It's not. There has been a rise in breeders and online selling forums over the years, but the pandemic has seen a significant rise in the purchasing of puppies, selling online, and pop-up breeders. Easy money for unscrupulous people. Registered charities work hard to find the right home for the right dog. We as a rescue have a no-kill policy and will do everything we can to find every dog that comes onto our books the right home, and we do succeed. The more times these dogs are sold, or cats, the more issues they have when they eventually reach a rescue. Any dog that needs to be surrendered deserves the best chance of a good life. By surrendering your dog to a registered rescue, and if possible, breed specific, that is what you are giving it. At GSDR number 1, the dog comes to us for life. We will find it a new home and keep in touch for the length of the dog's life. We put strategies in place to help our adopter, any adopter who is struggling, either with behavioural or medical issues. We have a wealth of knowledge within the team, and if we cannot answer a question, we'll find somebody that can. We have a team of trainers that we would recommend in your area to help with the dogs adopted. An adopter has to jump through hoops to have the chance of rescuing one of our dogs, because the dog always comes first. When somebody applies to adopt a dog, first of all, they have to be screened by one of our very good screeners. If they pass that, they then go on to have a home check in their home with all the people present. From then, we also do a vet report if they have a vet. It doesn't matter how long ago it was they had a vet. We want a vet report. We would advise anyone having to give up their dog to surrender, don't sell. Give your dog a chance. Please surrender, don't sell. Give dogs a chance of a happy life. As well as rescuing German Shepherds, we have over the last few years had a lot of Caucasian Shepherds come to us because there is not a specific rescue for them. These are large dogs that need a large area, and we do take them on also. Indeed, 2 days ago, I received a call from a gentleman who wished to surrender his Caucasian Shepherd to us. It was 11 months old. He bought the dog from a breeder for £1,700 and was told if the dog did not settle, the breeder would have her back. This was not the case. The breeder would not have the dog back. The buyer found out that the dog had been kept on an allotment and not on the breeder's premises. The buyer would rather lose his money than put the dog on Gumtree or other sites. Hence, we will be rehoming this dog. Thank you for your time.
Have we got any questions, Lisa, or has none come through? I'm just reading.
Thank you very much for that, Christine. We are just checking out, see if there are any comments or questions that anybody has asked. So if there's anything that anyone would like to know, please do put it in the comments and we will get straight to your questions. I think
we've got one in chat here. If send it to Lisa and Lisa can ask it. It's from Anthony.
Don't quite think my phone's caught up with the feed. If you can see it, Em or Rick, if you want to ask.
Yeah, so it's a question for Liz Webster. It's why is it some police forces are on the ball when it comes to dog thefts and others are not? By Christine, or it's by Christine, sorry.
Well, it's essentially about politics, I'm afraid. It depends on who is running your local government. Since 2012, we've had police and crime commissioners. Before that, we had police authorities, which were elected within the local government or appointed within the local government system. The Conservatives changed it in 2012 so that the public can elect a police and crime commissioner. But the government have done a very bad job about informing the public about this democratic choice. And a police and crime commissioner has an enormous amount of power. over their areas. In certain towns or in certain cities, you have mayors. In London, Sadiq Khan is responsible for the mayoral duties and the police and crime commissioner duties. So it's not the same as a crime commissioner, a police commissioner. It's somebody that influences how your policing is delivered. So if I am elected, I will be influencing within Wiltshire that we take all of these issues around animal welfare, very, very much more seriously. And I will continue to put pressure on the government to legislate and find a way of stopping this, because personally the animal welfare problem is awful and it's upsetting, but as I see that allowing this to fester and get out of control, it's encouraging more and more crime, and these criminal gangs are serious. And we had a police officer. Rural crime is, in it as well. And so all of these things are really, really important. So all I would say to you is take an interest in your local politics and try and vote for people that align with your views around animal welfare and are signed up to the campaign. And as there's so many different campaigns, but if everybody joins together, then this will become a very powerful organisation. And hopefully we will then win in influencing Westminster to do something about this, and it is solvable on many different levels. It is solvable.
We've just got another from Yvonne Jenkinson for you, Liz. Sorry, that's my dog in background. How do we stop the dog theft?
That's a dog.
Sorry, it says, how do we stop the dogs thefts? What's going on at the moment?
Well, there's many things that need to be done. I think that it needs, as we've seen tonight, the microchip thing is a mess. DEFRA needs to take responsibility for a licensing scheme. In my view, my cattle are licensed, and I don't see why we can't go back to that kind of system. And it just needs to be the factories, the farm factories, where we got this little chihuahua back from a couple of weeks ago. The police here in Wiltshire thought the woman that had the chihuahua was a victim when it wasn't. She said she bought her from a pet shop, and she was using the chihuahua for breeding. And all she cared about, because the chihuahua was pregnant, all she cared about were the puppies, because the puppies are where the money is. There's that, as well as we need stricter. There's no deterrent for these criminals. It's easy money. They're getting away with a low risk crime, and they're able to be making a fact. Why do they need to deal in drugs? When you can deal in dogs, it's easy money, and it's so easy to make themselves look as if they're reputable breeders online, and none of us actually know any of the wiser. So we also need to do, and again, this is something the government can do even without the legislation. There needs to be a public information campaign about how to make sure they're buying the right sort of dog, if they're buying a dog or going to get one from a rescue centre. But I think they know it's a problem, they know it's spiralling out of control, but I don't see that there's a great incentive at the moment to do something about it. I think they're trying to fob us off, which is why I said I sense we need to be in it for the long run. I hope that if I am elected, that I will be able to bring changes here to my area. I'm scared to walk my dogs right now. So I want to bring change. If I'm not elected, I will continue to fight throughout this campaign and make sure that we get change, because I'm a very determined person, and that's exactly what I'll do.
One for you, and then we'll go to Lisa for the last question. Lee, sorry, it's if people have a problem with an ad on your site, what do they do?
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, support@petsforhomes.co.uk. email. Basically, that's what those team of 10 will look into, and they respond very quickly generally in terms of if they think there's a problem, they'll take it down and then investigate it.
That's brilliant. We'll go to Lisa for the last question. She'll ask it.
Hi, this message is for Christine from German Shepherd Rescue. From Hank Wood, would it be worth stopping the restriction that only GSD experienced buyers adopt? If other vetted people could be accepted, do you feel that more would be adopted?
We don't just restrict adoption to people that are GSDR experienced. We do have people that adopt that haven't had a German Shepherd before.
Okay, thank you.
You're not dismissed because you've never had a German Shepherd before. In fact, some people that have had German Shepherds before think sometimes that they are better at looking after the dog than you are themselves, and they won't take much assistance from you. You sometimes find that people that haven't had experience with German Shepherds are more keen to listen to you and heed what you say and ask for advice. So no, we don't discriminate if people aren't experienced with German Shepherds.
Wow. Start off, thank you everybody that has been watching. I did find one comment that was for Lee. Vicky Cameron said, well done, Pets for Homes, taking proactive steps to try and clamp down on puppy farms. I think there is a long way to go, but it's really good to see you are taking animal welfare seriously. You've all been an absolute delight for tonight, and I really look forward to the next meetings with you all. Hopefully it won't be long, and we shall see you all soon. Thank you.